Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this from. This is my bottom of room show from all the fights that took place at the weekend. Obviously took place last night, took place early in the morning. But we'll start off. But yes, start off straight away. We're probably the biggest upset of the weekend, and we saw the Australian Ian Paro upset Subriel Matias on points to win the IBF Super Lightweight title. To win the IBF to win the IBF Super Lightweight title. Subriel Matias was obviously the defending champion in his hometown of Puerto Rico as well. I think it was his first time. Subriel Matias as well. I think it was Subriel Matias' first time defending his, obviously fighting in his home country of Puerto Rico. And obviously when I watched it, very shocked by Mateus' performance. I was one. I thought Subriel Mateus' presser, front-footed presser, would be too much for Ian Powell. I thought Mateus would stop him in the 7th round midway through the fight. But fair play to Ian Powell. Fair play to him. He absolutely. What's the word? I'm trying to think of the word. But he stopped Subriel Matias from using his ability and skills. And Ian Powell, if anything, Ian Powell was by far the better fighter and deservedly won the fight. And life changing, absolutely life changing for Ian Powell. Don't let me want Ian Powell for me. I did say he was a good fighter, but I never thought he was at Mateus' level. And I did weight Subriel Matias higher as well on that level, but on the same level as Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez, the other champions. But just shows, doesn't it? Just shows that maybe he actually isn't at that level, the Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney level. And to be fair, we've seen upsets already in boxing this year. Wind that well. I would say Wayne Garcia against Devin Haney, but we know what's happened there with the Wayne Garcia situation. But obviously back then it was an upset. But this is life changing for Ian Paro. He's now a world champion, the Australian, and this is massive for him now because he's gonna have a title fight now, maybe in Australia. Maybe try and bring Teofimo Lopez over to Australia or Devin Haney to Australia. One of them names to Australia. There's Isaac Cruz as well. Isaac Pitbull Cruz. He's the other champion as well. But for me, the next fight for Ian Paro will be he will defend his title against a mandatory challenger, Richardson Hitzens, who is one of these upcoming fighters that is under the matchroom stable of Eddie Hearn. So it makes perfect sense. Eddie Hearn's already worked. Eddie Hearn was the promoter for this fight. Obviously, he was more Subriel Matias' promoter. And it makes sense for Paro and Hitzens to fight next, hopefully in Australia, because that will be a good fight. That would be a good fight because if Subriel Matias would have put the performance in, I will get into the comments in a minute. If Subriel Matias would have put the performance in, I actually would have thought Richardson Hitzens Matias is a complete mismatch, and I actually would have thought Matias beat Hitzens. But now Hitzens be thinking to himself, you know what, I've got a chance to be a world champion, because we don't know how Ian Paro will perform. Now he's got that title around him now. But it's a massive upset beating Subriel Matias, who I thought everyone feared in the super lightweight division. And this is boxing, it didn't happen. And it just, for me, it showed that Subriel Matias, first time performing in front of his home country, I think the nerves was there, and it was very underwhelming from Matias. And Ian Powell, for me, definitely won that fight comfortably. definitely won that fight comfortably for me. So let's get into the comments. SWS Boston, great win for Paro. Yep, Isaki, mate, great win for Paro. Life changing as well. Absolutely life changing for him. He's now a world champion. Against all the odds as well. Against all the odds. It's now that rematch for me. It's now that rematch for Ian Paro. Not the rematch, sorry. It's now that next fight. It's now that next fight. Now he's got that belt against his mandatory challenger, Richardson Hitsons, which will be probably the next fight, in my opinion. How will Ian Paro now cope with the pressure of being a champion? Is it going to be another Andy Ruiz in the heavyweight division where it took the world by shock and then got completely outclassed in his next title fight? Or will it strive Ian Paro on, and will Ian Paro get better and better and better as a boxer? For me, he got better and better in this fight, Ian Paro, and he was completely dominant, in my opinion, than Subriel Matias. Dominic won. I did give Subriel Matias a few rounds, but they weren't enough. They weren't enough for me. And Ian Paro deserved the win, in my opinion. We will get onto that now. We will get onto that next. Which is, of course, the future fate of boxing, in my eyes. Gervonta Davis, who knocks out Frank Martin in round 8 to retain his WBA lightweight title. And for me, Frank Martin, he's not a bad fighter. He's not a bad fighter, very tough fighter. But for me, it was one-way traffic for me. Gervonta Davis. Tech putting the pressure on Frank Martin, Tech putting the pressure on, and in the end, the pressure got to Frank Martin, and a brutal hooked by Gervonta Davis to knock out Frank Martin in round 8. It's how I expected the fight to go. I did say round 7 for Gervonta Davis to knock Frank Martin out, so I was only one round over. And for me, this guy, man, Gervonta Davis, no matter the trash talk before the fight, he bats it up. Gervonta Davis. For me, he sells as well. He sells his tickets as well. Future face of boxing, in my eyes, Gervonta Davis. And there's only one fight to make now, and that is Gervonta Davis and Vasyl Lomachenko, unification fight next. Get that fight on. Gervonta Davis, a future face of boxing. Vasyl Lomachenko, a pound-for-pound threat. Get that fight on. Unification next. Get that fight on. And we all saw Lomachenko against Devin Haney. He should have probably got the decision against Devin Haney, potentially. It was that close of a fight. And it's the fight I want to see next. Because it's so intriguing. Tant against Lomachenko. It is so intriguing. Because for me, it'd be Gervonta Davis' first proper opponent, first proper opposition, who will cause him problems, in my opinion. Because Ryan Garcia, everyone fancy Tant to beat Ryan Garcia. Yes, be real. So it'll be his first. Lomachenko's the one. I mean, Isaac Cruz, to be fair, I will say Isaac Cruz, to be fair, was probably Tant's toughest opponent so far, in my opinion. And for me, Lomachenko will be his toughest opponent so far. And it's quite hard who would be favourite for that fight. I think a lot of people probably do Tant as favourite against Lomachenko, but I don't think it should be by much, in my opinion. That's the fight to make next for me. There's also William Zepeda. Who's been waiting for a title shot. He's fighting in 2 weeks' time. William Zepeda as well. But for me, it has to be the Lomachenko fight next. Massive fight. It's a massive fight for me. One of the biggest fights in boxing as well. Tank against Lomachenko. Vuta face a button against a pound-for-pound weight. Can't get better than that. 4 unification titles as well to unify. Who would you favour in the fight between Lomachenko and Tank Davis? Oh, I tell you what, it's a close fight though. It's a close fight because Lomachenko's boxing IQ is it's one of the best in boxing. Lomachenko's boxing IQ, but Tank Davis has also got good boxing IQ as well. It's the perfect matchup for me. I would, in terms of power, I would say Tank probably has the better power than Lomachenko. It's completely even for me. I actually can't pick, to be honest with you. But age does play a part as well. Fair play to Lomachenko, even for his age, still at the top of boxing, let's be real. Still at the top level, Lomachenko, for his age. I would favour Tank Davis shots, in my opinion. Whatever the outcome will be, that's quite a hard one. I would say Tank probably stops him yet or wins on points, in my opinion. But if it does the points, Lomachenko's probably got a good chance of winning on points because these Ukrainians know how to win on points. So I would say Tank Davis by a gate stoppage. But I tell you what, it's completely even, in my opinion. Completely even for me. And so we move on to David Benavidez. David Benavidez' debut in the light heavyweight division, beating Alexander Fodstick on his 175-pound debut. For me, it was a solid but not spectacular performance from Benavidez. I did think Benavidez won the fight, in my opinion, but it was close. I felt it was a close fight for me. I'm not shocked that it's a close fight because it was Benavidez' debut in the light heavyweight division. And for me, Alexander Fosdick is a natural light heavyweight, had more experience at light heavyweight, more natural light heavyweight. Fosdick caused problems as well for Art Peteviev as well, previously. It's Benavidez' debut. I can't judge him that much. It was his debut like heavyweight. But for me, at the moment, I've been more convinced by Benavidez at super middleweight than light heavyweight. But with the size of Benavidez, I always thought when he was fighting at super middleweight, he is quite huge for a super middleweight, in my opinion. For me, Benavidez just won the fight for me. He's just won, in my opinion. Does he need another fight at light heavyweight before he takes on the winner of the undisputed fight between Dmitry Bivol and Artpateviev? I think so. I think he needs another fight, Benavidez, before he does in against Bivol or Pateviev, whoever wins that fight. In my opinion, for me, I want him against Canelo Alvarez. That's the fight I want. I want him against Canelo Alvarez at super middleweight. I've been calling for that fight for I don't know how many years now. And for me, Canelo Alvarez knows. He knows as well. He actually thinks, you know what, Benavidez might actually beat me, Because the current, don't everyone, Canelo Alvarez still performing at a high level, don't everyone, but Canelo Alvarez is past his prime now. He is past his prime. And Canelo Alvarez asking for 200 million is basically ducking, in my opinion. It's basically ducking. It's basically Canelo Alvarez asking for a paycheck, really, because I genuinely believe at this current stage of both careers, Benavidez and Canelo Alvarez's careers, at this current stage, I think Benavidez wins against Canelo Alvarez, in my opinion. If it was a prime Canelo Alvarez, then yeah, Canelo Alvarez beats Benavidez quite easily. But Canelo Alvarez, for me, is past his prime. He's starting to age slightly, Canelo Alvarez. And it all depends what's happened with Canelo Alvarez's situation with the IBF against that has been ordered against William Stull. For me, I think Canelo Alvarez might vacate, to be fair. Might vacate the IBF belt. Because, let's be real, Canelo Alvarez against William Stull is just another cherry pick opponent, another cherry pick win for Canelo Alvarez. The only opponent Canelo Alvarez should be fighting is David Benavidez. And then Canelo Alvarez, after that, can walk in the sunset, in my opinion. I don't like the Terence Crawford fight. I don't like the Canelo Alvarez Terence Crawford fight because we have weight divisions for a reason. We have weight divisions for a reason, and that's just a fantasy money fight. Canelo versus Benavidez, that's the fight we want. That's the fight we want. Will we day it? Probably not. Probably won't day it. I think Benavidez is moving on. £275 now. I'm waiting for the winner before Patevia, but for me, I still think Benavidez needs another fight. I like heavyweight. That's a level above Fodstick. That's a level above Fodstick, in my opinion. But again, who's a level above Fodstick for me? Because before Patevia, they're in the one postcode in the light heavyweight division. Do you put David Benavidez in with the likes of Anthony Yard, Joshua Buatsi, Callum Smith? I tell you what, they're winnable opponents, in my opinion, because I'm a UK fan. I'm a UK fan, and for me, Buatsi, the likes of Buatsi, Anthony Yard are nowhere near before Batavia's level for me. And as on a Fudstick, I put him below that before Batavia level, and he's the one who caused Batavia problems. So it's a hard one. I probably think it will be the winner before Batavia, Nestor Benavidez, and if that's the case, I would still favour before Batavia in that fight against Benavidez if that is next for me. But yeah, let's get into the comments. I agree with your analysis. Who would you like to see Benavidez fight next? It's a hard one, isn't it? Because I would put him in with. Let's have a look, though. Let's have a look. Who's below before Batavia? Well, we got Vodstick, who he's already fought. And for me, I rate Vodstick higher. I rate Vodstick higher than the likes of Buatsi and Anthony Yard and Callum Smith, in my opinion. So maybe one of them three. To fight next, because I still think he needs another fight. Benavidez, I like heavyweight. Callum Smith, for me, he was not good at all against Batavia. Batavia did a job on Callum Smith. Joshua Buatsi, for me, I don't really rate him. Joshua Buatsi's not been convincing recently either. But I would say Anthony Yard. I actually think Anthony Yard's been better than Callum Smith and Buatsi. Anthony Yard, he's another one who caused Batavia problems. So, and it's a big money fight for Anthony Yard for me. It's a big money fight for him, Benavidez. So I would like to see Benavidez and Anthony Yard. I don't see why not. That obviously, I'm just going by the top of my head. The names on the top of my head for me. So it's probably going to be Benavidez, then the winner of Undisputedness. That's what's probably going to happen. But I would like to see him against Anthony Yard for me. I don't see why not. If Anthony Yard and Joshua Buatsi fight ain't happening, I don't see why not. Did you happen to get eyes upon the Di Russell fight? I will be talking about that in soon. Canelo is what I think Benavidez stops in there. I agree. I completely agree, mate. Yeah, I'll say that's a decent matchup. Benavidez versus Buffon is a decent matchup. Especially with Buffal's bots and stills as well. Batavia, Benavidez, fucking hell, that's going to be a firefight, isn't it? Benavidez, Batavia. I would actually go Benavidez and Santi Yard next. Because I'm struggling to see any other opponents that is same level as Bodstick, in my opinion. So I think Benavidez just needs another fight. I like heavyweight before he takes on Buffon or Batavia. Up next, then we got Carlos Adames. Carlos Adames retains WBC middleweight belt in his first title defense after being upgraded to the WBC middleweight champion. And for me, it was a yes and dominant display against Terrell Dosha, in my opinion. For Carlos Adames, done it one. Adames did win, but I wasn't really convincing performance, were you? And Hamza Suarez I think he's the interim WBC middleweight, the interim WBC middleweight, Hamza Suarez. But there's been strong rumours that Hamza Suarez will fight Chris Eubank Jr. in a middleweight contest at Wembley Stadium on the AJ vs Down Dubois card. Very strong rumours. Chris Eubank Jr. is back in training on his Instagram page as well. So it looks like that fight's going to be made. So it probably needs the Janibek unification, in my opinion. If Janibek can get through his fight, which I'll be doing a preview for this upcoming week. I think it's this upcoming week. I think I'll be doing it this upcoming week or the week after. No, it'll be the week after. I'll see where I'll be doing the Janibek preview. For his yet another cherry pick win for Janibek. And for me, I don't rate this middleweight division at all. We do not rate all the middleweight champions at all. Which is why I'm actually frustrated with Chris Eubank Jr. for not actually having a title shot. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Chris Eubank Jr. would win a middleweight title, but why not take a middleweight title? Because all these champions are so beatable. If I'm Hamza Suarez, I'm forgetting about Chris Eubank Jr. I'm fancying my chances against Carlos Adames instead. Instead, in my opinion, Chris Eubank Jr. he's just fighting for money. Yes, we will fighting for the best possible money. And but I just feel it's going to be Janibek, the Janibek unification next, and for me, I would favour Janibek against Carlos Adames. It'll be Janibek's toughest opponent so far, but I will say Janibek for me not to Denzel Bentley, in my opinion. I felt he lost to Denzel Bentley, in my opinion. So yes, call a spade. Janibek wasn't convincing against Denzel Bentley. So, but for me, I think it'd be the Carlos Adames versus Janibek unification fight next, in my opinion. And I think Janibek wins that fight, in my opinion. Probably maybe stops Adames, yeah. Or maybe does do a points win for Janibek. But yeah, I think Hamza Suarez will fight Chris Eubank Jr. next. As for Terrell Dosha, I would not be shocked to see him fight Taiwan Davis next. After Taiwan Davis, which we'll talk about in a minute soon, his win over Charlie Garcia. So that's probably another fight I can probably see happening. In terms for Terrell Dosha. Now on to Alberto Pereiro, who returns after failing his TUDS tests. He defeats Darry Russell by split decision to win the interim WBC World Super Lightweight title. Very close fight. Very close fight for me. Close fight to call. For me, I think everyone's a bit bitter that Alberto Pereiro won because of the failed TUDS test situation. Obviously, he did fail a drugs test, and he was suspended. But he wins the interim WBC World Super Lightweight title. It was a close fight for me. It was a close fight. I edged it towards Paro. I had Darry Russell winning in my preview. I predicted Darry Russell to win on points. I did think it probably would be a close fight. But I just think experience just won it for me with Alberto Paro, in my opinion. I think experience maybe gave him the decision for me. Could we see the rematch? Potentially. But Alberto Paro will be now waiting for the winner of Devin Haney versus Sandor Martin. I think Devin Haney versus Sandor Martin will get made for the WBC World Super Lightweight title. I think that fight's going to get made, and then Alberto Paro will wait for the winner of Devin Haney and Sandor Martin. Yes, we wait. Sandor Martin, no, I think might cause a few problems for Devin Haney. One of them tricky fights for me, but I think Devin Haney should get through that Sandor Martin fight, and maybe we'll probably get Devin Haney against Alberto Paro, in my opinion. That's probably what's going to be next for Alberto Paro. But maybe Alberto Paro will have another fight for the interim WBC World Super Lightweight title. Probably have another fight before taking on the winner of Haney or Sandor Martin. And obviously, finally, as I mentioned earlier, we saw Tyrone Davis upset Italia Garcia by a split decision. For me, it shouldn't even went to a split decision for me. I felt Davis won that fight by unanimous decision in my eyes. For me. Like I mentioned earlier, I actually think Terrell Dusser might be a good fight next for Davis. But the problem is the fact that it went to split decision just shows that there could be a rematch in the line. There could be a rematch on, and that's the problem when it does a split decision. There could be yet another fight between these two. For me, Davis won it by unanimous decision, in my opinion. I felt he was the better fighter. I felt Garcia struggled to pin Davis down for me. And I think Davis did more for me, did more of the work. And for me, I don't think Davis needs to have the rematch. I think he should move on to probably Terrell Dusser next. I think that's probably perfect matchmaking with Dusser on the back of a defeat, but it's a winnable fight for Dusser. Yes, we will. So that's the fight I'll probably make next, in my opinion. But now we move on to England, into the UK, where we saw Crispin Smith retain his WBO World Cruiserweight title by avenging the Richard Riapo defeat in a very mediocre main event, in my opinion. And for me, the fight showed that both of these fighters are nowhere near Trial Fatali's level, in my opinion. Nowhere near Trial Fatali's level. It's more of a tuddle party. In my opinion, for the whole fight. The only action we probably saw was in round 9, where Richard Riapo did kind of touch Ben Smith. If this fight was told a draw, I actually think that would have been a fair result. No, honestly, I actually think that would have been a fair result, in my opinion. But if someone did win, I would say Ben Smith did win. Probably did just more than Riapo. But very ugly fight for me. But yes, call a spade a spade. Crispin Smith has now been in 3 world title fights, and he's not been convincing. Matias was winning that fight for me until Massenat got an injury to his ribs. The Jon Satori fight, Crispin Smith only got knockdowns because Jon Satori was trying to hood him. And this fight, again, was a hudding party and a cuddle party for me. Fair play to Crispin Smith. He has massively overachieved becoming a world champion, in my opinion. He's massively overachieved becoming a world champion. But if he's fighting Shia Portayo, which looks likely to happen on that Wembley card, on that AJ Dubois card, forget about it. Forget about it, because Shia Portayo will honestly, he'll knock Chris Smith out early. He'll knock him out early, in my opinion. There's levels. There's levels to this division. Shia Portayo is a level. Never mind Shia Portayo. Chris Smith, or with whoever won this fight, I wouldn't even fancy them against Maurice Paredes, in my opinion. Because I actually think Paredes actually has a chance against Chris Smith or the WBO World Cruiserweight title. Because yes, we will, Paredes still caused off-title problems in the rematch, but that was only in the final 3 rounds where it was 2 years. Gilberto Cerdo Ramirez, that's another potential fight, unification fight. And you have to say, I was still fancying Ramirez for me. I was still fancying Ramirez than Ben Smith, in my opinion. So it is definitely going to be a unification for Ben Smith, but I'm sorry to say, Ben Smith is going to be using that WBO World Cruiserweight title, whether it is then either Ramirez or Portayo or Maurice Paredes for me. For me, Paredes beats Ben Smith. Honestly, I genuinely believe that. So I'm sorry, but I was harsh on these two in the preview. I was harsh on these two, saying, why are they getting overrated? Why are they getting overrated for me? Because they are. Just like most of our fighters from the UK, they are overrated. Yes, we will. But fair play to William Smith. He's massively overachieved by managing to shit out a win. By managing to shit out winning the title. All thanks to Don Satori's downfall by trying to hold him. But yeah, Richard Riapo, nowhere near world level either. So let's quickly move on from that fight, because it was an awful watch, let's be real. But up next, we saw Ben Whittaker dominate Enzo Areka with a dominant announced decision. For me, no excuses now for Ben Whittaker. Needs to be top 15 opposition next, proper opponents next. Ben Whittaker is key level above these opponents that have been picked up from the side of the street bins. Yes, we will. Yes, we will about it. Ben Whittaker was pretty buoyant. Yes, we will. He's buoyant him. Ben Whittaker, boxing ability wise, I would actually say he is really good. He is really good boxing ability wise. But when he's playing around in the win, that's what's going to cost him. That's what's going to cost him, in my opinion. He's not Prince Nassim Hamid. He's not Prince Nassim, let's be real. Prince Nassim backed it up. He backed it up with his showboat and still managed to back it up by winning the belts he did. Winning the fights he did as well. Ben Whittaker, he's doing this against against opponents that are as useless as a broken iPhone charger. Yes, we will. And it's disrespectful for me. It's disrespectful. Enzo was there for the payday. Yes, we will. To pick up the payday, try to survive, which he did. In there to survive. But it was a dominant Ben Whittaker performance. And it needs to be top 15 opposition nets for Ben Whittaker. No excuses now. There's no excuses. I would actually say Ben Whittaker should fight the winner of Dan Aziz or Herbo Seb in the rematch, which is going to be a rematch in my opinion, which should be a rematch, with Seb getting robbed, in my opinion, against Dan Aziz. You need to start fighting that opposition now, Ben Whittaker. There's no excuses now. No excuses. But onto the fight of the night in the UK. Well, there wasn't really much to choose from. But Chap Matty, round of applause for Chap Matty. What a journey he's been on. Defeating Isaac Chamberlain by unanimous decision to win the Hoopy and Commonwealth titles. And I can see Michael Kasnack returning from his injury. And then I can see Kasnack facing Chap Matty next for the belt. But he's another opponent, Chap Matty. I think he deserves a world title shot. Why not? I actually think he could beat Bill Smith, Jack Massey, in my opinion. I actually think he could beat Bill Smith for me. But yeah, for me, Isaac Chamberlain was too wadded, in my opinion. Was too wadded. He was just looking for the powerful shots, Isaac Chamberlain. Jack Massey was the more smarter boxer. Jack Massey was very smart, fighting at long range as well. He caught Chamberlain a few times as well, Jack Massey. For me, Jack Massey won that fight by 4 rounds, in my opinion. For me, I gave Jack Massey 8 rounds. I only gave Chamberlain 4 rounds, in my opinion. And when both fights were fatigued as well, Jack Massey still kept his shape. Isaac Chamberlain was pretty fatigued, let's be real. You can tell. And I said Chamberlain would win a pure point decision on the preview. But I did say Jack Massey had a great chance. I actually thought it was a better fight than Chamberlain versus Krasnov, in my opinion. I would fancy Massey against Krasnov, in my opinion. Which I think will be the fight next for give Michael Krasnov a chance to win his belts back after he had to withdraw from injury. So yeah, but fair play to Jack Massey. It's mad, isn't it? Jack Massey also gave Joseph Parker a fight as well in the heavyweight when both of them fought in the heavyweight contest on the Smith versus Huband 1 card. Jack Massey gave Parker real problems in that fight. Obviously not the same Joseph Parker now. We've seen the best Joseph Parker then, haven't we, this past year. But what a journey for Jack Massey. He's now, he's at hooping level now, Jack Massey. And he will defend his belt against Michael Krasnov, I would expect next. Or maybe Matias as well. Maybe a hooping level opposition. But yeah, quality performance from Jack Massey. In my opinion. And finally, before I end this live stream, let's talk about Dan Seas versus Errol Seb that ended in the draw. For me, rematch is the only option. Dan Seas got away with it, in my opinion. I think Seb should have done the decision, which is already a worrying sight for Dan Seas' career, which was supposed to be a tune-up for Dan Seas. It was supposed to be a tune-up, but it was not a tune-up. Didn't turn out to be a tune-up opponent. Dan Seas, for me, very worrying sight in his boxing career now, because he had confidence. He was getting hit easily by Seb, and his trainer was telling Dan Seas, you need to have a quick 6 minutes. That's 6 minutes of this fight, because you're not winning this fight, and he wasn't winning this fight. Herbo Seb for me won probably all the first half of the fight. I would even say the 5th round as well. So I thought it was 5-0 up, Seb. Honestly, I thought it was 5-0 up. I felt Dan Seas won the final 3 rounds, in my opinion. I think Dan Seas won the final 3 rounds. I started 5-3 in Seb's favour. But for me, Seb did the job. Seb did the job in the first half of the fight. And it was a close fight. I will still say it was a close fight. But for me, Seb should have been the winner. A well-offered Dan Seas. And this shows that first defeat for Dan Seas has key affected his confidence. It just seems to be where once you get beat, it just seems to affect you as well. And for me, this is a worrying sight for Dan Seas' boxing career. Even to have a rematch with Goody Herford Seb, who was meant to be a tune-up, get back to winning Wade's fight. That is the worrying sight for Dan Seas' career. And for me, already, that just shows that you're having a rematch with this so-called tune-up. You're in big trouble already in terms of your boxing career, and this shows that you're probably not at world level at all. And Seb, for me, is more Hooping Neville, isn't he? Seb, more Hooping Neville opposition. And also, again, you'd probably say Dan C's probably not a Hooping Neville either. But it's just one fight. Let's be real, it's just one fight. And the one defeat that he suffered Dan C to Boazzi, he has affected him, and he had confidence in this fight in Seb. And for me, Seb should have got the decision for me. So very poor from the judges, in my opinion. Once again, but shock horror. That's the judges for you. So, but anyways, massive appreciation to everyone who tuned in from our bottom of the room. Big up to Pietro Tatit and who else? And SWS Botson. Massive appreciation to you guys tuning in. And yeah, have a good rest of the day, people. Have a good rest of the day. And yeah, we saw 3 upsets this weekend in the Botson. With Ian Paro, the main standout with his performance in Subriel Matias, Gervonta Davis knocking out Frank Martin, and a very mediocre main event in the UK between Ben Smith and Riapo. So feel free to leave your thoughts down below. It wasn't some payback down below in the comments on all the fights. And have a good rest of the day, people. And I'll be back with another bottom video on Monday. Yeah, it'll be Monday, where I'll be doing. Tomorrow, I will be doing my previews for Johnny Fisher against Aaron Bobbitt on the Next Gen Show card. Doing my predictions for that card. And I think, what's the other fights? I've forgotten the other fights now. But yeah, stay tuned anyways. And take care, stay safe, and have a good rest of the day, people.